What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 73 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast. If you would like one-on-one counseling or to launch or join a group using the podcasts or the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum, please send me a message by email at davidfromatod@gmail.com or go to my website, www.fromatod.org, and click on the contact page. You can find the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum on Amazon in paperback and as an ebook on Kindle. When we come back, we'll get into this episode entitled, Walk Away from Your Dirt. Welcome back to episode 73 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast entitled, Walk Away from Your Dirt. I'd like to start this episode by asking you to picture the comic strip character Pigpen. You know, Charlie Brown's friend from the comic Peanuts by Charles Schulz. He's a friendly boy, but he is really dirty and always covered in this big cloud of dust. Yes, Pigpen is dressed in dirty clothes and has this cloud of dirt and dust that follows him everywhere he goes. He can't get rid of it. It follows him everywhere, and everyone who sees him sees the dirt cloud. He can't stay clean no matter how hard he tries. Even if he gets clean for a brief moment, no one recognizes him when he is clean. Once, after taking a bath and putting on clean clothes, Pigpen stepped outside his house and instantly became dirty again. And he said to Charlie Brown, "You know what I am? I'm a dust magnet." So, I still love Charlie Brown's comics. And does this description of Pigpen sound like you in your addiction and your multiple failed attempts to get clean? Do your friends and family always see your dirt just like Pigpen's dust cloud? Is that what they always want to talk about? Your dirt. Even when you go to rehab, they don't recognize the changes in you. They still see the addict and the dirt of your past. And this increases your shame and guilt, which follows you everywhere, just like Pigpen's dust cloud. Have you reached the point where your shame and guilt have become your prison? Perhaps the dirt of your past has been a cloud over you for so many years that you believe it actually defines who you are. When did you reach the point where you stopped seeing your dirt as stuff you did in your past and began to believe it was the definition of who you were? Well, my premise is that is one of the key points when your past became shackles and chains that kept you enslaved. That is the point when addiction really took hold of you. When you began to believe you could only find temporary escape and your drug of choice became your medicine or your key to escape. At that point, your past pain actually became your present identity. You know, and when we're in that prison and can only find our drug of choice as an escape, we become like an elephant who stays captive by a single rope, even though he could easily break it with just one tug. Or we're like the horses who stay in their pasture even though they could easily jump the fence. You see, the answers to being free from our prison lie within us. But how do we find them? how do we really know what that rope or what that fence is that's keeping us in prison? For me, that's the importance of a coach, a support group, a sponsor, a mentor, whatever you want to call them. These people where we can be around them and they're the people who ask the right questions. And as you work with your coach, I want to encourage you to share your doubts, not your dirt. Focus on the things that are holding you back from moving forward. As you establish a time of sobriety, the cloud of dirt in your mind begins to clear. The dust settles, and you will regain the ability to see the truth. So, how do we begin these steps of sharing our doubts and being able to talk about things other than our dirt? For me, a key first step is to forgive yourself. No matter what you did in your past, you didn't do anything unforgivable in your addiction. Let me repeat that. No matter what you did in your past, you didn't do anything unforgivable in your addiction. I know friends may not forgive you. Family members may say you broke their trust. But these things often make it impossible for us to find the courage to dig down to the root of our own wound, the root of our pain, which ultimately resulted in our addiction. And this digging down involves feeling emotions that we have not felt for years or perhaps decades because we've been numbing those feelings and emotions in our addiction. And I know it can feel scary to dig into years of buried emotions, to revisit painful events of the past which have caused trauma. But in order to find healing, we need to uncover our wounds that need to be healed. If we only look at our behaviors and try to modify them, we risk ignoring the wound that may still be bleeding inside. And if we only focus on forming new coping skills, we leave ourselves open to our pain actually growing inside of us like a tumor while we think we're coping with stuff. But the first step is to embrace your journey of transformation and forgive yourself. German author and spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle once said, and I quote, "There's a fine balance between honoring the past and losing yourself in it. You can acknowledge and learn from the mistakes you made and then move on. It's called forgiving yourself." Do you see that key and a hard step here, that we acknowledge and learn from our mistakes, forgive ourselves, and then move on? I know this is a hard step, but it is a step we need to get right. I think it's the foundation to a stable long-term recovery. And after we forgive ourselves, then in my mind, we need to let go of the woulda, shoulda, coulda. By that I mean, we have to stop regretting what could have been. We have to stop focusing on what you should have done and begin focusing on what you can do from this day forward. We have to stop dwelling in the losses of the past and begin building the realities of today and the promises and possibilities of tomorrow. Eckhart Tolle said, "Sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on." Let me ask you, are you ready to let go of all of the woulda, shoulda, couldas that have been keeping you penned up in prison? Well, one of the major components that I see in this transition is to work steps 8 and 9 into 12 steps. After you have forgiven yourself, you can begin to clearly define the pain that you caused others in your addiction. And as you go through steps 8 and 9 and you make amends, you take the steps to bring healing to those that you've wounded. And as a result, you find peace within yourself for your past. And Eckhart Tolle said, the past has no power over the present moment. And I believe that's what we can get as we successfully forgive ourselves, move on to making amends, and leaving the past behind. We'll reach that point, as Eckhart Tolle said, the past has no power over the present moment. Remember, it is a step of healing to acknowledge the things that we are guilty of, but we do not have to live in the dirt and shame of those things. So shake off the dirt. Become a person who can say, my dirt is under my shoes. Stop rubbing it in my face. Learn to walk away from people who rub the dirt in your face. Learn to walk in freedom. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy these podcasts, please share the link with your friends. If you'd like to support our work with people caught in the snare of addiction, homelessness, and incarceration, wherever they are around the world, click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.